Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you another Middle-earth Monday. Games Workshop very kindly sent me out one of each of the new Gondor or Osgiliath scenery sets. So the tower, the big warehouse building style thing, and another pack of runes which are identical to the ones that come in the Osgiliath box set themselves. And I thought I would go through them in today's video and let you know my thoughts on them, how I found them to put them together and paint them, and so on and so forth. So I will start off with saying that the kits may in fact be the most amazingly designed miniature scenery kits I have ever seen. If you haven't seen the Warhammer community article this week on these buildings and how they can be built, all the different ways the roofs connect together to make any shape you want, it is absolutely incredible. Does that mean they're enjoyable to put together? Kind of. I don't know how Zorp managed to get all of those sets cut up and cleaned up and organized into all those little trays. I just had 4 scenery kits and I nearly went insane cutting out hundreds of parts and cleaning them up and removing mold lines from all the little pillars and corners and everything. It genuinely was quite a lot of work. If some crazy goblin could come in and cut out all the box sets for me, clean up all the parts, and then I just had all the parts to act like Lego to build any crazy building I want, I think I would be absolutely in love and I would do nothing else but that for weeks on end. As it is now, after experiencing building and painting the sets that I did in this video here today, I wouldn't be in a rush to go and buy more to repeat the process. It was quite tedious, quite long, and not very enjoyable. Very easy sets to paint, and the table that I've created at the end I think looks pretty cool, so yeah, so I'm going to show you guys quickly how I painted these sets up, the new blue roofs and stuff like that. Give you an overview of them all on one table at the end and let you know what I thought about that. So hope you guys stick around and enjoy the video. Huge thank you to all of my active patrons. Without you guys, I'll be able to keep the lights on and the cameras rolling. If you're interested in getting involved with my Patreon, there's links to it below. You get benefits like a private Discord server and an extra video every single week. So that's 52 extra videos a year. Okay guys, without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first thing I did was assembled all of the different ruined pieces. I basically followed the instructions to build them as they are on the box, but obviously they're massively customizable. So for instance, with the ruins, what I did was I built the first set of ruins, the first 3 of the ruins, sorry, as per the instructions, and then I used all the leftover parts from all 4 of them to build the last ruined building and make something a little bit more my own, but you'll see that a little bit later on. The watchtower is actually the easiest to build, the least customizable. It's basically just kind of 6 tall wall pieces that get pushed together, and you can either build it as a ruined top or a sealed top. This building is of course my favorite. It's got a little interior, nice big shingled roof. It's definitely the most interesting, and yeah, it looks really good on the table as well. So as per my other Osgiliath rune video, I'm going to be basically going through the same steps on that and showing you that you can paint it extremely fast and get an entire set of these buildings done up in an afternoon if you so choose. So the first color is of course going to be Tallarn Sand. Now I show you very quickly here how to do it with a brush, and as you can see in a couple of seconds I managed to get the first coat down. This does not have to be a fully opaque, fully clear, perfect cover. This is just the first tone down, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But as I'm in a rush for a video, I will be jumping over to my airbrush to get the first coat down, and it's just Tallarn Sand, and it's the only part of this video that I'll be doing with an airbrush. And like I said, I showed you with a brush that it only does take a couple of seconds. And I actually found it to be a pain to use the airbrush to do this. It was getting clogged and it was annoying me, so most of it went back to brushwork again, but we won't get into that. After we get that nice smooth coat on, we move over to Karak Stone, and then we're going to give the entire set of scenery a nice heavy dry brush. This is of course going to be on every single one of the buildings. We're actually currently doing, I think, 5 buildings at this exact stage. We did one of the ruined buildings in a previous video. So now we're going to get the rest of the scenery set done up and ready for that battle report that I want to record at some point in the near future with the contents of the Osgiliath box set. Projects like this are also super interesting because it doesn't take an awful lot of time to get quite a lot of work done. So if you dedicate like half a day to getting a scenery project like this painted, you're removing quite a large amount of plastic off your backlog, and it feels really good to do that without needing to spend weeks of time painting up squads of infantry or whatever. Just a little side note, if you ever need to reset your brain and feel like you're being super productive in the hobby, just bash out a scenery piece or 2. They don't take an awful lot of time. They're super useful to have done, and yeah, I find it to be quite enjoyable. So same process with the tower. All we're going to do is that heavy dry brush of Karak Stone all over them. You can go quite heavy. The recesses on the flagstones are quite deep, so you're not going to go crazy and fill in anywhere that you're not supposed to. And I'm learning recently that there's a certain amount added to a paint job with the kind of layering technique of it. I don't mean layering as in like the physical layering. I mean having layers of paint show through different like textures and stuff. Especially when I've been doing that kind of stippling technique on tanks. Especially the Gore-Grunta tank I did, for instance. I was really pleased with the result of that. Being able to see all the different gradients kind of flesh through the paint. That makes a huge difference. And I find that it's the same with this. Like I'm going after the third coat of a stone here with the Pallid Wych Flesh. As you can see, I'm still going quite heavy. I'm giving it quite a heavy coat on it, and it's giving you this stunning result. But if I had just gone bone or like sprayed black dry brush Pallid Wych Flesh, it's going to look awful. But because I've got those two shades, that sandy brown and that slightly lighter beigey brown, and then into this kind of pallid stony brown, the chalky brown or chalky bone color, we're going to get this absolutely stunning result. But it's because of the layers of paint you can see through each step that I'm getting this result. That is, it looks like I spent so much time doing it, but I did not. And it's going to result in me having this beautiful little Gondor scenery table that I did in an afternoon that I'm able to play games with. I'll put all of the scenery into a plastic container and store it away until needed, but it'll be a nice weight off my mind that it is done. So like I say, in Pallid Wych Flesh, give it a dry brush all over all the pieces. When it comes to this piece, for instance, underneath the arch is all textured. There's beautiful building there. I did the first coat of the Tallarn Sand on that, but after that I didn't bother going in with any other color. I left it that nice dark sandy color as if it's like in the shadow, in the shade. It's not going to be as bright and vibrant as the rest, and I don't want it to look like that. I almost painted all these railings in metallics and added like verdigris and stuff to them because I thought they were like iron railings. It's a good thing I checked the website and had a look at them. They're actually like a marble, like handrailed staircase. So we nearly had a whoopsie. I still think they might look good with some iron railings, make them stand out a little bit more. It doesn't super evident on a piece like this when you dry brush it up. You can see it literally panel for panel, the difference that it does make getting that one panel done compared to the other ones. And I definitely think it has that like perfect Gondor White City color to it. Like this is my recipe. I don't know, I plucked it out of my brain one day. It's not anything that I've seen online or anybody else do. I just think it's a super effective way of painting buildings in the White City of Osgiliath or in Gondor itself, Minas Tirith. After that, it's time to go on to the roof shingles. Now, like I said, I'm all about painting things fast, getting them done. So all we're going to do is the Fang on all the shingles. That's going to be the first coat. And getting the roof done is only going to be 2 coats. And then I'm going to call it done. If you want to add more to it, more power to you. The techniques that I'm going to use are going to give you a really nice finished result. Remembering that scenery is supposed to frame an army. When you put 2 beautiful armies on the table, you don't want brash, gaudy scenery stealing your attention away from the miniatures. They're supposed to be kind of more simplistic paint jobs. So with this, all it is 1 solid coat of the Fang. I went in with a smaller brush in against the edges because I didn't want to hit those stone with the blue. And then once I'd done the sides done, I went in straight with the middle with a larger flat dry brush and just went crazy and filled in all of that blue. You can see how quickly, I mean, this isn't fast, sped up footage or anything. This is actually me working and getting it done. Obviously, I could be a little bit more free with the last set. When I go to here, it's just this pointy brush here, taking my time and going in and making sure that I didn't hit the any of the stonework. Now, after this, all we're going to do is add a dry brush on top of the Fang to kind of brighten up the shingles and add some kind of definition to the edges. And you may be asking yourself, how are you going to dry brush all those shingles without hitting any of those columns and ruining it? Well, it's very simple. I'm not going to try and not hit the columns. What I'm going to do is something that means that it doesn't matter if I hit the columns. And that is, I'm going to go back to Pallid Wych Flesh. Those kind of bone dry brushes and stuff over these details works a treat. It always has. I've done it on a bunch of different things before. And what it means is because it's the last dry brush on top of the stonework that we did, it has absolutely no problem with it hitting anything else. As you can see, I'm just using that downward motion, catching the edges of the shingles, adding that little bit of brightness to it, a little bit of definition, and then leaving it at that. with this means it'll only take kind of 2 or 3 minutes to get that dry brushing done on these roofs and get them finished up. Now, like I said, I would love to have a kind of 6 foot by 4 foot board of this scenery, like a huge big Gondor set. And maybe in a couple of months when I've forgotten the pain of cutting out and cleaning up all of those parts, I may go back and get some more scenery. The €100 bundle that's currently on the website is actually quite a nice set of buildings. But it's the first time I've ever thought about commissioning something. And the commission I would do is I would buy the scenery kits, give them to somebody, and they just cut out and clean up all the parts and then deliver them back to me. So I can enjoy them like a big Lego set and put all the pieces together and build bridges across big buildings. And oh, it'd be amazing. Gore-Grunta Fur was used just as a single coat across all of the wooden beams, which are protruding through the broken floors of all of the ruins, which is a really nice touch to break up the fact that it is just a white city and there's quite a lot of that same color. Having the broken down beams through the rented roof is actually really cool. It's a super quick step and then just adds a huge splash of color to it. Also, we went in with all of the wooden doors. I think all but one of the buildings have at least one door. Some of them have 2 or 3. And they basically are wooden doors, and one side has a an iron framework that goes through it. As you can see, I'm painting the interior kind of panels because obviously the framework on that is metal. On the other side, you can actually clearly see wood grain through the beam. So the other side is actually just pure wood, which I suppose makes sense. So Gore-Grunta Fur on all of the doors, and then all you do afterwards is go in with a bit of Leadbelcher or something and paint in all of those iron bars, the reinforced doors with those. Any dark silver will do. I use Leadbelcher here, but you use iron hand steel or iron breaker if that's all you have lying around. Just any dark kind of gunmetal steel for that. It is just a door after all. But these will add an extra bit of detail to like an already kind of dull model. I may go back later on in a future video and add a little bit more to these. Like, I'm still going through the Dirty Down series and I want to do a video on each of those. So I'm very tempted to add the like moss and stuff to these buildings, kind of where water would drip down from old gutters and stuff and give a little bit of mossy effect in cracks and recesses. So that may be what I do with the moss effect. Let me know in the comments if that's something you guys would like to see me use the Dirty Down series on these. Just add a little bit of extra color. A bit of Agrax Earthshade was then thrown all over the wooden doors, both the metallic parts and the wooden beam parts. Once again, super quick step. Like I said, it's scenery. If this was a miniature, I would then go back and re-highlight the metal and re-highlight the wood. I did not do that with scenery. I just left it as is, which means that the final result is this. This is the finished building. I think it looks super nice, super simple technique. I will show you a couple of stills in a minute of a little board that I set up, which will give you the kind of full view of what a table's worth of scenery. A small table at that, but a table's worth nonetheless. I like the inner detail inside the tower, even a little hatch door to have your models enter from and exit through. And interior detail in here. I didn't do anything crazy with that, but it's still a playable. So if you want to barricade a door or, you know, have a battering ram come up and knock down the door, it's super quick and super easy to do, creating those interesting scenarios. So these are all the different rooms that I was painting up, following the instructions. This is the one I built with all the leftover parts. I just had a bit of fun with it and seeing what I can do. A second level kind of veranda with all broken down railings. And then this would be my finished little Osgiliath table that I hopefully will be using for a battle tour sometime in the very near future, and showing you guys how awesome the game of Lord of the Rings actually is. Here's some stills of my favorite piece. This building is beautiful, and then of course the watchtower is magnificent. Okay guys, and there we have it. I now have a little Osgiliath City District street ready for some games. The reason that I got this scenery painted up so quickly is that at some stage in the not too distant future, I would love to get a Lord of the Rings battle report out for you guys, and maybe a couple of how-to videos on how I play the game, because I genuinely think it's one of the most fantastic game systems Games Workshop has ever done. In fact, any miniature company has ever done, and I would love to share it with more of the miniature community. So hopefully I can get that done soon. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like. More likes means it gets pushed out to more people, which helps my growth. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have any questions about any of the scenery or any Lord of the Rings or anything else I've done in any of my videos, put it in the comments below and I will get back to each and every one of you guys. Once again, a huge thank you to all of my channel members and Patreons. I'll see you guys in the next video.